Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey, welcome to The Explainer. You know, when we think of Bermuda, we picture those incredible pink sand beaches and perfect turquoise water. But it's got another, less glamorous title. It's the most expensive place to live on the entire planet. So today, we're going to unpack exactly why that is. So, what in the world does this number even mean? Well, according to the World Bank, if you imagine the global average cost of living is a baseline of 100, Bermuda's is 193.5. That's not just a little bit more expensive. That's nearly double the world average. It literally makes it the priciest place on Earth. So the question is, how is that even possible? What kind of forces are at play to create such an insane cost of living on this one tiny island? Well, to figure it out, let's put on our detective hats, because we're going to follow 3 key clues that solve this very expensive mystery.
All right, our first clue. It actually lies in the most basic thing you can think of. It's geography. Bermuda is just this tiny, isolated chain of islands way out in the middle of the Atlantic. We're talking over 600 miles from the nearest coast. And that simple fact, it has massive, massive economic consequences.
See, because it's so small and so isolated, Bermuda has very few natural resources and pretty much no large-scale manufacturing. And what that means is you get what's called an import-dependent economy. Nearly everything you see, touch, or eat, from your food to your fuel, had to get there on a boat or a plane. And I'm not just talking about fancy luxury stuff. I mean everything. The cereal you have for breakfast, the gas in your scooter, the phone in your pocket, the materials to build your house, you name it. Every single one of those items shows up with international shipping costs already baked right into the price tag. That is the first fundamental layer of expense. Okay, so everything is already pricey, just from the cost of getting it to the island. Let's move on to our second clue, and you'll see how this starts to stack up. It's all about how the Bermuda government actually makes its money. And, this is where it gets really, really interesting. So Bermuda is famous for having a 0% personal income tax. Sounds amazing, right? But the government's got to get revenue from somewhere. So instead of an income tax or a typical sales tax, it relies heavily on customs duties. Basically, it's a hefty tax slapped on all those imported goods we were just talking about. This quote from a Reddit user just nails it. An import tariff like this gets applied the second the goods hit the port. It's not like a sales tax that gets added at the checkout counter. It's already built into the price before a product even makes it to the store shelf. So that gallon of milk that was already expensive to ship, it just got a whole lot more expensive. Just look at this chart of where the government's money comes from. Now, payroll tax is the biggest piece of the pie for sure. But look at customs duties. They still make up a huge 15% of the entire government budget. This is that second layer of cost, a tax added right on top of every single imported item, which just drives prices up on everything. Okay, so we have our first 2 clues, high import costs and high import taxes. But this third and final clue, well, it might just be the biggest one of all, the absolutely mind-blowing cost of real estate. Yup. $1 million. That's the average price for a regular family home in Bermuda. I mean, think about it. You've only got 21 square miles of land, but you have huge demand from both locals and international businesses. The result? One of the most intense and expensive real estate markets on the planet. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just save money and build my own place, think again. Construction can cost up to $1,000 per square foot. And why is it so high? Well, it goes right back to our first 2 clues. Every single piece of wood, every bag of cement, every window has to be imported and then, you guessed it, taxed. Now, to really put this into perspective, get this. The cost to build a single hotel room in Bermuda averages $1.5 million. That's a huge reason why a vacation there costs so much. Those insane construction costs get passed right along to the tourists. So you see, this third clue, the housing market, it doesn't just squeeze residents. it massively inflates the cost of doing business for everyone on the island. Hotels, restaurants, local shops, they're all paying sky-high rent or mortgages, and that cost gets passed directly onto you, the customer. All right, we've gathered our 3 clues, so now let's put it all together and finally solve the mystery of Bermuda's price tag. Because this isn't just one thing plus another. It's a compounding effect, where each layer of cost makes the others even worse. Here it is. This is basically the recipe for the world's most expensive country. Step 1, you start with a really high base cost because you have to ship everything in. Step 2, you add a huge tax right on top of that base cost at the port. And finally, step 3, you put all those expensive goods and all the people who need them into one of the most expensive real estate markets on Earth. The cost of just having a roof over your head multiplies the already inflated price of everything else. It really is a perfect economic storm. But hold on, because the story isn't over. In fact, a massive change is happening right now. In 2025, for the first time in its history, Bermuda introduced a corporate income tax. This is a huge shift away from relying so much on those customs duties, and it could potentially change the island's entire economic model. And that brings us to the big, critical question. With this brand new revenue stream from corporate taxes, can the government finally afford to lower those customs duties that drive up everyday prices for everyone? Could this be the key that finally makes paradise just a little bit more affordable? So what do you think? Can this new tax really fix Bermuda's economy? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so share them in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for digging into this with us.